I head up talent for DVT globally. Why we say globally is because we are currently opening our office in Kenya. We have expanded to the UK, Ireland, and the Netherlands, and hopefully even more into Africa and other European countries. The reason we're here today is I think DVT is a very transparent company, and we're very people focused. And I think a lot of what we want to explain and be transparent about is giving people the opportunity that don't work with us yet to ask and find out about us and see what it is from people who are currently senior developers and leads and practices. It's like test driving a car nearly, this session. So you can see how life is at DVT for a senior developer, and it's an opportunity for you to meet some of the leadership team and other senior developers in other spaces within DVT and ask questions. And we hope that you get a lot out of this and that we can help you in whatever way we can. So like I said, I'm Carmen. I'm going to quickly run through our panel today to introduce you to who we've got with us. We've got Lloyd Hendricks, who used to be a senior iOS developer and is currently our lead in the mobile space, our practice lead in the mobile space. We have Footy. Footy is our practice head in the Microsoft space. We have Inika joining from an HR and culture point of view. We have Lorato, who is our practice head for mobile. And we've got Marvin, who is a senior developer, but I mean, Azure architect certified. So I don't think he's going to stay there for very long. Is there anyone I'm missing? And Lonwabo. I don't know if Lonwabo is on the call.
Yeah, he'll be joining us shortly.
Okay.
A couple of connectivity issues.
So Lonwabo will be joining us shortly, but he is our practice lead for the Microsoft space. We're going to go through some of our agenda and chats around some things that we think you guys might like to know. But the questions, if you've got any questions, please put them in the chat. Karen will read them out for us, and the relevant people will help answer and answer those questions for you. Okay, well, thank you for joining us and taking the time out of your day to come learn about DVT. Just for today's session, there's a little bit of an agenda. It's not in the specific order, but we can go through some topics of, like I said, what we think you would like to know. So I've mentioned the international work or where we're expanding. At the moment, we have a lot of South African devs, Kenyan devs, Zim, we've got developers in Zim. So we're growing very nicely in Africa, but I think one of the great things about DVT is the opportunity to work on international projects without leaving our beautiful homes. I think, Lorato, if you could maybe just speak to some of the international work that some devs are doing in your mobile space.
Lorato's muted.
Yeah,
I think we just
I'm
need to unmute
unmuted
him.
now.
Okay, cool.
Thanks, everyone. And yeah, thanks for that, Carmen. So yeah, just like Carmen said, we do a lot of our delivery from the African continent. We've got great talent here, and it is appreciated internationally. So in the mobile space specifically, I can speak to that. We've had amazing customers such as Zilch. I don't know if everybody knows who Zilch is, but recently we built a mobile app for them, and they are a fintech startup in the UK, doing pretty well in the UK. And as a result of us being involved in that project, I mean, we launched their app and it was actually #2 in the entire European store in terms of the fintech mobile application. So we did pretty well in that instance. We've also got a new client called Maxim that's based in the Netherlands. They're in the energy space. So again, we're going to be building a mobile app for them. But it expands beyond Europe. I mean, we're also involved in the Middle East. So the likes of Saudi Digital Bank, which we've just started building a whole mobile banking app for them from scratch. So there's definitely an opportunity to be involved in really amazing international projects, not just in the UK, the Netherlands, but also in the Middle East as well. And we've got quite a nice pipeline of projects that are potentially coming in. So hopefully, you know, we do impress some of those prospects, and yeah, there'll be plenty more to work on. So that's just in the mobile space, but in other areas of DVT, I know that we are involved with other clients internationally as well.
Footy, maybe you could chat to us about in the Microsoft space, how that's looking internationally and the projects that the devs are really excited to be working on.
Yeah. I mean, what we found is that with COVID and people working from home, it's really opened up, you know, quite a big area of the world to us in terms of new projects that we can take on. So we've had a focus on Europe. Ideally, we're looking at, you know, plus minus 2 hours from our South African timeline. So our sweet spot is probably from the UK to maybe Poland. And the projects that we've managed to get, especially in the UK, we're working in the rail industry there. We've got some work that we're doing for Great British Rail. We've got some clients in the utility space, and by utilities, it's the supply of energy. There's a lot of gas usage in Europe, so we're working in that space, you know, working with them in terms of coding these smart meters that enable users to actually switch service providers, you know, from a mobile device, you know, and they can do that repeatedly as many times as they want to take advantage of better pricing over the weekends or during the evenings. We're doing some work with some of the banks there and some of the insurance companies, and it's really interesting because, you know, we're getting exposed to industries that typically don't exist in South Africa. In the environmental compliance space, as well as even just the utilities space. I mean, our only option here is Eskom, whereas there they've got lots and lots of energy providers to work with. So it's really exciting, and it gives us ideas of what is possible further down the line in terms of where, you know, the country can actually develop and how these markets can change.
Great, thanks, Footy. So Lloyd, you've worked on some clients and some international work. With regards to challenging work and growing your skills, what has your journey in DVT been with regards to the kind of work and projects you've worked on, and has that helped improve your skills? How has that affected or assisted you in your career?
So yeah, I mean, it's you know, it's nice to hear that we have international clients, but we also have clients in South Africa which have an international footprint. So, you know, I worked for a South African-based client which has a massive international footprint, and what that does is it exposes you to multiple teams globally where you can see international standards that are in place that we might not potentially have in place and learn new architectures. Also, you work with large scale pipelines and new technologies which we won't typically use here but could be used overseas for different server environments or, you know, app release environments. So in terms of that, we've had a lot of growth just by being exposed to these different technologies, these new ways of doing things which we wouldn't typically do because of the services we provide in South Africa. I've also worked with, I mean, teams from Russia, Philippines, the States, UK, Middle Africa. Like, you get to work with different cultures, different people, and, you know, their learning style is a little bit different to ours, and you get a new perspective on different, you know, environments and different fresh eyes on different things that you would typically do over and over in South Africa, where with that exposure to multiple different teams, you get to learn a lot more. And I mean, that really accelerated my career in terms of I got exposed to these new ways of doing things and better ways, and I could just grow my career from that point onwards. So yeah, I mean, that's the exciting part for me is that you can still work for a South African client but be exposed internationally, or you can work for an international client and they will expose you that way. So there's a two-way street with that, and it's really nice.
Great. Well, I'm glad you're still enjoying your time with us. Marvin, you also are, like I said, Marvin's been with us for just over 5 years and has his Azure Architect certification. Can you tell us your, in the 5 years, challenging work or specific projects that you felt have helped grow your career?
Yeah, hi everyone. One thing I liked in particular at DVT is the ability of certain teams to be deployed to particular clients. And that's why we, for example, myself as well, I found friendships even that outlasted DVT for some. I saw that to be very, very valuable for me personally. We're able to grow one another, even on private side of life. So I saw that to be very helpful. I saw that the ability of DVT to encourage such through our socials and Bright Sparks talks and all those, I saw that to be very, very helpful. Because you'd want to get a life that outgrows your current employer, that a sustainable life afterwards as well. When I got to the Azure journey as well, started with DVT, we started a group. That's one thing that was exciting. So we started a group and encouraged one another. To start on such a journey is very difficult on your own, to be honest. So yeah, we were able to encourage one another, started with a few Azure certifications, and that's when we tackled the solutions architect. And I went for it because I had the backing of other senior developers, Kuda and the likes, and Gaviso and Yaku and a lot of people. So I found that to be very, very helpful, because this is a certification that you carry forward even after you've left a particular company. So that's the impact that DVT has on a particular senior developer. So yeah, I found that to be extremely helpful, and the support that we get from DVT itself is encouraging as an employer.
Thanks, Marvin. I think it speaks very much to our culture of knowledge sharing and just wanting everyone to be the best that they can be. You know, personally and happy. And maybe Inika, you could speak to a little bit about our culture and our work-life balance within DVT.
Absolutely. So obviously we have an amazing culture. I mean, just look at all of us sitting here that you guys are looking at. But I really want to latch on to what Marvin said. We really are a supportive bunch of people. We really care. We are people-centric, and I know it's one of those fancy words that you throw out there, but we have put a structure in place to make it people-centric. So all our staff members have a network of people around them. You have your line manager, which we all have. You've got an account manager, which is someone that will support you at the client where you have projects. We have a mentorship program. It is voluntarily, if you want to be part of it or not. We don't force it, but so far, I think all of our people are involved with it. It's smaller teams. Mentorship, you could be a mentor yourself. We do upskill those people who want to become mentors, so that at least you know you are guided of how to do it. And then so you also have a culture manager, which I'm part of that team as well. The culture manager is there to really look at the softer skills side of your support within DVT. We are not technical, so I always laugh when people come with the technical questions. We're not, but we're there for the other stuff. We are really there to help you sort out anything else surrounding all of that, to make sure that you have a very good experience within DVT. When it comes to training and development, there are people, if you have your goals, this is what you want to achieve within the next 6 months, we help you get there. If it's signing up for a course or having someone help you decide between different courses, we do that. So our culture is really very supportive, very people-centric, and we really are committed to our staff, committed to help them. We, some of our benefits that we might get to later is an ICAS program, our health and wellness, and within that, there's also like business coaching. They do psychological help, they do legal, they do financial, life management. So all of that is included in the support that we give our staff. Work-life balance, I don't know. I haven't heard of a single person who said, oh, COVID helped me with that. It's almost like COVID made it worse to get that balance right. It is very hard. I can tell you that we do support our staff. One of the things that's maybe easy to track is we look at the overtime. Whenever we spot overtime, we want to know, why is our staff working so much overtime? If it's fine, it's fine. But we really do keep an eye on that. We really try to help our staff to get that work-life balance right. We all know it is difficult, but we do try to give our support there.
Thanks so much, Inika. So, you know, I always look at our culture managers and I say, that is your mom at DVT. Because they are the person that's going to motivate you, keep you on track. They're the person, if your laptop breaks, they'll fix it. If, you know, if you need anything, they're your go-to people. And I think it's super important because DVT is on a mission at the moment to grow and to really start making a mark, not only about our growth, but start making a mark in the tech space, in multiple different industries, in different areas, in different countries. And ultimately, I think we want to be known to have the best technical developers, hopefully at some point in the world. And we know that's never going to happen without supporting, motivating, encouraging, knowledge sharing, and being there for one another. So I think that's super important for us. We do have some clients that we still work with currently in South Africa that are still trying to figure out if they're going to become remote 100%. As we all know, a lot of clients in South Africa have introduced a hybrid model. And, you know, some people prefer that. Some people need the interaction and like to meet up with their teams. But we manage that from a DVT perspective. But ultimately, we have a remote first policy. It is always the thing that we push. There's always the thing that we try and stand firm on. So especially because we have devs all over, we want to encourage that the most. Looking at just some of our hot topics, Inika, I know you mentioned our RCAS in terms of our benefits. We also have a few other benefits that we give, such as medical aid, and I know we've got funeral policies and life policies, and I'm head of talent, but Inika will be able to tell us more if there's anything that I missed there.
So this is something we really try to work at. Remuneration, I mean, that's why we all work hard, play hard, and I think we all want to play hard, therefore we have to work hard. We really, Carmen will also tell you this, that we always try to stay market related. So we stay on top of it. We try to. We all know it's very hard. It's not that simple. But we also work in our benefits, like we have 20 days leave. We give 5 days study leave. And this is because we really do support our staff with training and upskilling. That's very important for us. We've got a byline going, smart people, smart solutions. I think that's one of the things I so love about DVT. You really are surrounded by like-minded people and people that encourage and support you, and also with the upskilling. So there will be a technical person who will help you get to the next level. So that's why we do have the 5-day study leave. With COVID and all of that, working from home, we support our staff to set up their own home-based area, and with our lovely ESCOM, we are supporting our staff with UPS systems. So there is that support. It's on a work back agreement, but DVT does support with that. ICAS, as I mentioned, we've got group life, which is something that we pay over and above. Funeral benefit, I didn't want to mention that today because I don't want people to use it, but I have to tell you that it's there. You also can structure an RA into your salary package to make it better for tax purposes. So that's some of the benefits, some of the remuneration. It is very competitive. All of you know that. It's an extremely competitive world out there for IT at the moment. So we do try our best, and Carmen and her team, they are just amazing. I mean, if we look at the way DVT has grown within COVID, I mean, when lockdown hit, we were all, oh my goodness, now what? and DVT has just grown and grown, and we were amazed. So Carmen has an amazing team. They are just the best. Find very good quality skills people, and that even I think made us a little bit, you know, just we have very good quality developers in DVT.
Thanks, Ineke. So I think, yes, going back to that, I mean, those benefits are very specific to South African developers and people that are hired in SA. It is slightly different to the UK and slightly different to Kenya, which we have opened an office. We have a country manager in Kenya, and we will now be able to start hiring people permanently in Kenya, which is a great milestone for DVT to hit. We're very excited about that. I wanted to just, you know, looking at our list, I think we do a lot of events because we like to stay very connected to our staff. I mean, I remember during COVID, we got all these presents all the time, and it was great. So we got game boxes to play with our families, and DVT's notes actually said, whoa, just spend time with some of your family and friends. And because we want the best developers, but ultimately we want happy people. And that's very, very important to us. And then I think the other thing is I'd like to hear what our developers have to say, if they've got anything else that they want to maybe address or chat about. In the last 6 months, we've had over 102 people start with us. And that's growing every day. In the last year, maybe 240 in the last financial year. So we're having a lot of people start with us, and our main goal is to not lose the people factor. So we might have plans to grow big, but you'll never just be a number at DVT. So I don't know, Lloyd, Marvin, if there's something you want to add in there, Linwabo, I know you've joined us. If there's anything you guys would like to chat about, or if there's any questions from people in the chat that Corin could maybe read out and the devs could answer for us.
Yeah, I mean, from my side, I mean, I've experienced the full ecosystem from the ground all the way up, you know, from culture managers, and, you know, when I have a problem with my email address or emails aren't working or whatever it is, chat to my culture manager, just communicate to this person. Like, I don't need to now chase someone, try to find it out. They're always there to help. They're always, you know, if I, like, late afternoon, I'm not feeling well, you know, they'll help me say, okay, you know, we can take half day sick leave or whatever it is, and this is how we can help you, you know, make sure you look after yourself, make sure that you're in a good environment. Nobody wants you to get sick. Nobody wants you to overwork. I mean, even the overtime, it was tightly managed. It was always capped. It was always, I needed approval to be able to work overtime because DVT was always monitoring it. They didn't want me to burn out. They didn't want me to, you know, work long hours. Yes, now and again, you'd have to, you know, critical deadlines are important to some clients, and that would be the, you know, where the discussion would come. But there was always someone there to help me along the way with, you know, whether it's timesheets or overtime or just a problem with my emails, there's always someone there willing to help. And then also, I mean, the knowledge sharing, just because you're at a client doesn't mean you can't speak to someone from another client. And we have this really nice culture where developers are always communicating with each other, always looking at how can I help you at your client, even though I'm working at a specific client that has different goals. You know, they will always be like, well, hey, check this out. I found this cool new way at this client that they do this. And that was really awesome for me, is just that whole experience of communication, knowledge sharing, people actually caring about you on your day-to-day, you know, what you're doing. And that's really what helped me as well, is just there's always someone that's got your back. You know, that's a nice thing, whether it's a developer or a culture manager or even Lorato. I don't know how many times I've had phone calls with him after working hours where we just, you know, we chat. It's not even like work related. He's always open to those type of things, and it's really nice. So that's just from my side. It's really awesome.
Thanks, Lloyd.
Carmen, we are getting a number of questions coming in, but yeah, we'll address them shortly. Who was going to speak now?
Marvin wanted to just add something for us.
Just a little bit from my side as well. to reiterate on what Lloyd said, on our side as well, the support we get from our practice heads and practice leads is actually encouraging, which is something when you think about the traditional having a manager and managers being strict and the likes, not having an open policy in previous companies. It was kind of new for me, and I liked it a lot because you can actually communicate directly with your manager. And for example, when you're done and with a particular system or subsystem, and then you need to go into a different space, you don't necessarily have to leave a particular company. You can just leave a particular client, but stay in the same company, which is something that I saw very beneficial. Especially after you've handed over to support, you're not really doing any new work. We are developers, we want to do new work, we want to be on the edge and work with new technologies. And I saw DVT actually cultivating that. And yeah, that's something I appreciated.
Great, thanks for sharing that, Marvin. I think what's also important is that, you know, at DVT, we always ensure that you're always equipped to do your job. Whatever it is that you need, if it's a laptop, software, you know, we make sure that we give you great spec machines so that you can work, and that's for our permanent and IC contractors. We have some questions. I don't know if I can open them here. There we go.
I spotted two that I could quickly answer. They're from people living outside South Africa.
Okay.
So at the moment, if you're based outside of South Africa, we can't employ you permanently. It is a SARS thing and that, but it will be on a contract basis, which we really try to get the salary like it would be if you were permanent. There was someone else that asked about the benefits. Unfortunately, that is only for permanent employees.
Yeah, so all our benefits are perm for perm employees, but like I said, we've now can hire people permanently in Kenya, which we weren't able to do 3 weeks ago. And there are obviously in Kenya, there are statutory benefits, and we're working on our benefit offering in Kenya as well for permanent staff. I'm just looking. Yes.
So there's a question I think you might be able to address. It's from Zakayo. He says, what's the interview process like for a senior software engineer position? How many steps should an interviewee expect?
So it is, our general process is obviously a someone in the talent team will get in touch with you, will explain DVT, and we will then you'd go through an assessment process or an interview process, and sometimes those can happen simultaneously and sometimes they can happen separately and in no particular order. After that, we do have to look at our project pipeline. So where are our projects, where are opportunities sitting, to also match your skill set and what you want in your career out of and see if we've got those opportunities or those projects that align with where you want to go and your skill set. So it should be a 3-step process, but it can take some time, especially if we don't have a project that we know is going to be beneficial for your career and what you're looking for in your career. But we should always be able to give you feedback continuously. And if that's not happening with anyone that is on the call and you might be in our pipeline, you can reach out to me directly and we can always chat. Zakayo, I hope that answered your question.
All right, Carmen, can I grab a couple more questions and we can go through them? Okay, so there's a couple of questions about whether we hire mid to senior developers. So Jason was saying, what about those who are currently upskilling? Charles, is similar. Are there any vacancies for mid-level software engineers? Okay, that's in Kenya. But I think the question is mid to senior developers, are we hiring?
So yes, we are hiring mid-level, we call them intermediate or upper intermediate developers. We do hire them. We are, like I said, as you've heard, we are very big in upskilling, creating mentorship. And I think the difference between being an okay senior person and an amazing senior dev is the mentorship, the guidance, and the opportunities that you get at an intermediate level. So we absolutely do hire mid to senior developers, and there is a career guide to show you how to move from mid to senior throughout your career at DVT.
So I guess the next question would be, how do they contact us if they're interested?
Okay. So on our website, we have a career section where you can go and upload your profile and your CV. Make sure you've got all your information in there, and one of our recruiters or someone in the talent team will be able to get in touch with you. If you're on this call and you're not ready to make a move yet, or if it's not something you're looking at, but you know people or friends that you would like that are looking, we do have a referral incentive that we put through, and you can ask them to apply via the website. We do try and get back to everyone, but we do have an influx of people coming through our doors at the moment, which is never a bad thing. But if you have, and there is, if you have applied and there is a delay, please also, you can inbox me directly on LinkedIn or via the website.
Cool. Andrea, there's another question. Carmen, there's a question from Andrea. What does the typical agile team structure look like? Example, 2 times devs, 2 times QA, 1 times BA, 1 times project coordinator. How do you find this affects the workload and scope change within teams? So this is a question maybe for Futi or...
Yeah, sure. Yeah, Andrea, you're correct. That is the typical team. But generally what we'll have in there is we might have a team of, let's say, 4 developers. We will have a UI UX designer if the application has a front end that needs to be designed. And we will have a scrum master, really, rather than a project coordinator, and then a product owner. And of course, testers. The teams can be that lean, or they can be double in size. The maximum we'll have for a scrum team would probably be between 8 and 12.
And it also really depends on client, right?
Yeah.
And what the project is all about. We sometimes put in full teams, and sometimes we help a client fill out a team and with specialists and subject matter experts.
Yeah, I mean, that from my experience, so I was where DVT didn't head the team, the client was heading the team, and we filled the gaps in the team. So I mean, at the client that I worked at, we had specialist teams, so like a mobile only team, which would have a development manager and mobile only testers as part of that team, and we were a team of 18. So it was crossed between Android and iOS, and we worked together towards the bigger mobile goal rather than having a watered down smaller teams. So you do get different team structures at clients depending on what the requirement is, but they all follow where there will be a QA team or a BA team, and there'll be a scrum master. There's all those people, but they might not necessarily make up the composition of your team, but you will interact with them. They might work across teams to make sure the coordination between the teams are working well. So yeah, you get these different things. It doesn't necessarily affect your workload. I think it's good because you actually get clarity on the broader picture when you're working with different types of streams. It helps you understand the bigger project and help you focus your work on what goal you're working towards, and that helps a lot as well.
Cool.
Right, thanks for getting some awesome questions in here.
We are. We've got some cool ones. I think this one's probably for Inika from Ralph. Quite an interesting culture you have at DVT. Wanted to find out if you do any team building activities. If yes, can you just explain how you do it?
So yeah, we really like to get together. We actually have in March, our next event will be a movie night. We've never done that before. We like to do different things all the time. Very early on in COVID, we started itching because we didn't get to see each other. So we had virtual team building events. We had quite a few of them and they were very successful. People loved it. Again, this is an event. So you join, you don't join, it's up to everybody. And we have different events almost to cater for different people's tastes, because not everybody likes the virtual thing. Not everybody wants to go to a movie night. We have beer Fridays at the offices, which not everybody wants to go to that, but there's something for everyone.
We also do a lot of go-kart racing, because I think we all have a little bit of competitiveness in us, and it's nice to get out into the fresh air. But we find different ways, whether they're on during COVID we're online. But team buildings, we do it, some teams do it at specific, when they're part of a specific project, they'll want to do a team building. We also do them per cluster, and we do them as DVT as a whole.
Yeah, the data team is also looking at an indoor rock climbing, for example. So very much open to ideas. Please, people, we love it when our staff throw out their ideas out there, and then we take it, we make it a great event.
Yeah,
We'll
I think
try anything once, Sam.
there's also mini team catch-ups where, you know, you might not work with a designer, or you might not work with a BA or a QA, or, you know, different people might still work at your client, but you don't interact with them on a daily basis. So we do also like having mini catch-ups just with your team at your client, so that everyone gets to know each other, know that you've got friends in your space. You know, so there are also those little things that happen, which is really cool as well. You get to make friends with the people you're working with.
Absolutely.
Great.
Yeah.
All right.
This next question is quite nice, and it will be for Footy or Lomwabo, Footy or Lerato, I think. And the question is, how is performance continuously managed and tracked, and how does DVT support my personal development?
I can start on this one with you. Maybe you can fill in the gap. But yeah, that is a good question. So I think Ineke did mention earlier that we're all about the staff. We're all about you as a developer. I mean, our core value is making an impact. So in everything that we do, we want to make an impact to you, want to make an impact to our clients. And part of the way that we do that is by equipping you and developing you. So one of the first things that you will do once you join DVT is we'll set up a PDP for you, a personal or professional development plan for you, that we will sit with you and discuss. So what we've typically done is looked at different levels from junior all the way to tech lead, and have said for the respective levels, what are the skills that you need to know? So we don't just focus on technical skills, we focus on you holistically. So we'll look at the technical competencies that you need to have for that level. We will look at the problem solving capabilities that are, you know, relevant for that level. We look at behavioral competencies, emotional intelligence as well as another thing that we look at. And then we look at the next level as well, because at some point you need to be promoted and you need to start working on those competencies or skills. So we'll sit down with you, gauge where you are. And then as soon as we identify gaps within your skill, those gaps then will form part of your performance development plan or personal development plan for the year. And then we actively track that. And as part of that as well, where we deem that it is necessary for you to take on certain courses and so forth, I think Carmen mentioned, or it was Ineke that mentioned courses, you know, we can recommend some courses that you can take, and then they also form part of your upskilling and development. And in some instances, we do try and get you projects that are aligned with your career aspirations and your development to try and fill those gaps that you might have. We've also started something last year where we've introduced some POCs and, you know, things like machine learning, blockchain technologies, things like augmented reality, virtual reality, IoT. So even with that as well, if you're a mobile developer and you're saying, hey, I'd love to, you know, gain some machine learning skills, then that can form part of your PDP, and then we can pull you into a POC like that, where you can actually start working and building your machine learning skills. Yeah, Fuji, I don't know if you want to add to that.
Yeah, that pretty much covers it, Lerato. And the other thing is, I mean, you know, the space that I look after, which is, you know, the core technology stack is Microsoft. A big part of your development and advancement really will be looking at those Azure certifications, which ones you want to specialize in, and where you want to take your career. So for instance, if you want to focus on security, then that's what we'd be looking at. If you want to specialize in DevOps or solution architect, that's the direction in which we will put together the development plan so that we can help you get to those goals.
Okay, great. Thanks, Futiana. And just share with us, those Azure certifications, do we assist in paying for them and helping the staff achieve those financially?
Yes, we've got a number of people that have already completed these certifications. So, you know, and they've put together some material that they used in helping them to prepare for those certifications. So we definitely share that with them, and we cover the costs of the certification as well, and whatever support material you might feel will assist you.
Okay, great. Besides skill, what does it take to be a developer at DVT and years of experience?
I think
passion to learn more. I think if you've got the passion, I mean that's all it takes. If you're driven and you want to move and grow, that's what it takes. I think experience helps, but also that you got to be driven to get to where you want to be.
Yeah, and I think just to know where you're going, what do you want to achieve personally? I think that's very important. That'll lead you to things like side projects, which are very helpful outside of your normal working skill set. I think that's quite informative. And besides all these, I think going for leadership positions, like getting on intermediates or juniors to teach them more, and you can only teach them more if you're learning more outside of your working hours, for example. So I think that's very important to know where you're going, define it explicitly. What do you want to do, where you want to be, and then afterwards get the skills, and then from the skills, I think I think that's what it takes up outside of
Marvin, I agree with you.
Last thing. Okay, go for it.
Sorry, no, I was just going to also latch on to Marvin, because it's important for people to know that we don't take you on and say, you have to do this to get there. We listen to what you want to do. It's your career. And we are here to provide the guidance, the framework, the structure to help you get there. But we're not going to dictate to you. We will give guidance as to we think these are the way to go, the courses to take. But like Marvin said, you need to know where you want to go, and we will definitely be there to help you, guide you to the next level.
Yeah, that's spot on, Inika. I was just going to refer back to the PDP again, but I think you've covered it nicely. And then maybe just to add, collaboration is important as well. So you need to be a collaborative person and be able to work with other developers and teams within DVT. So that's in the core of our culture as well, collaboration.
I think so. With regards to years of experience, although we do run quite a big graduate program, I think this year we've got 31 graduates who started with us on the 1st of Feb. After our graduate program, that's where we focus a lot of upskilling, and you get a chance to mentor juniors within the space. Normally within DVT, looking at experience from 4 years up. And that's the spaces we normally play in, just with regards to experience and where we look. Yeah. Carlos, I hope that answers your question. Kwasi asked if ICAS is a benefit only for permanent staff. Inika?
It is for contractors as well.
Okay, great.
Yeah, it used to be, I can say that, it used to be just for perm. But after COVID, we opened it up as we realized we really wanted to give the support to our consultants as well.
Yeah, and I think that's a very important part that you're mentioning, Annika, that we don't treat our staff any different. So if you're an independent contractor or you're a permanent staff member, or even a third-party provider, like a service provider to DVT, we want everybody to experience the same culture at DVT. So you don't have to feel like, I'm an independent contractor, therefore I get treated less or any differently. If you speak to most of our contractors, they'll tell you the same thing as well, that DVT is one of those companies that they've worked with and they feel like, man, they're part of the family. They're not just coming there to provide a service, but they actually feel like they are part of the organization and don't see the difference in terms of how everybody's treated. Yeah.
I think, Lorata, I can speak to that as well. I mean, I started as a contractor before I moved to permanent. And I wasn't treated any differently. I didn't feel like there was this drastic difference between being contract and permanent. I was treated exactly the same. People don't ask you, are you contract, are you not? You're not treated like outsider. You're part of us. We treat you as equals, and that's how we move forward. So I was in that position, and I can 100% say I wasn't treated any differently in any regard.
Great. we've got another question here. How do you access someone within DVT for a promotion? For example, from intermediate developer to a more senior role?
Yeah, so with we obviously want to set you up for success. So again, I'm just going to highlight the PDP. So we obviously plan to say, okay, next step is for you to become a senior developer. How do you get there? Here's a map of how you're going to get there, the skills that you require. But over and above that, we do a continuous evaluation with the client, with the team that you're working on project with. So annually, there's a performance review that we do, and we obviously gauge and see where you are in terms of your skill, your EQ, your problem-solving capabilities, etc. We get feedback from the client in terms of the level that you perform at, and then based on that feedback, then we can determine whether or not you're eligible for a promotion. I think that's the easiest answer.
We're also busy launching an app called Level Up, and that is the app. It's very hot off the press, so we're still busy launching it, and that is the app that will help you take you through those steps, how to get to the next level, to level up.
It's already live, Annika.
True. Okay.
It's very new.
I think Zakayo, that speaks to your next question. What is a career path like for a senior software engineer? Are there different levels one can ramp to? And I think that's Lorata's chatted to that quite a bit with regards to our PDP process, helping you achieve those next levels, and how you need to get there, as well as our new Level Up, which is now launched, that Ineka's just mentioned. So I'm going to move on because we still have quite a few questions. This is a really nice one. Nwabo or Lloyd or Marvin can answer. To the devs, what made you join DVT, and what is the one thing that you would change given the power? Such a good question.
Okay, I'll try this one.
Okay.
So I think alluding to what Carmen spoke about the grad program. So I think that's a very good base for DVT because we spoke about skills, and skills can be learned, right? But the foundation is quite key, especially in software development. And I think the graduate program sort of gives that foundation to the grads because so if you are a developer, you can easily learn Blazor, you can easily learn Azure, but those fundamentals of software development principles, so those are quite key. And I think DVT has a huge focus on that to also help you in your career, whether you're a mobile developer, whether you're a .NET developer or a Java developer. So those are quite key, and I think are very important in the space that we are in. The one thing that I would change, so I don't think I would change, but I think the one thing that I would include more is a focus on AWS and Google Cloud. So within DVT, so we do focus on Azure and AWS, but I think the other cloud providers like Google Cloud, other things that we should also pay attention to.
Great. And so are you saying the graduate program made you join DVT?
Yes, and how it's set up.
Okay, great. Lunwabo, are you currently guiding some of the Microsoft graduates through the grad program?
Correct. So I think what we also do in that space, in the Microsoft space, we've created a WhatsApp group to give the graduates an open channel as well, so that they don't have to sort of send emails or contact us when they feel that there's an issue that they're facing. So we've opened a WhatsApp group whereby if we see a talk on YouTube that speaks to Microsoft or speaks to Blazor or speaks to .NET MAUI, things that are quite interesting to them and their career, we can easily speak to about that on WhatsApp. And if they've got quick questions that they want to ask on WhatsApp, it's a very open channel for us, and to also get close to them and to mentor them. Because sometimes that the barrier comes into the space whereby graduates feel that they can't easily reach management or they can't easily reach senior developers. So we've opened that platform to open up the gates and give them that confidence that they can ask those questions. There's no dumb question. And to also help people with that imposter syndrome whereby they always feel like they don't know enough. It's okay not to know. As the good thing about that is that if you don't know what you don't know, you need to ask, right? So we've opened that platform to say that it's okay even if I as a senior developer have a question, I can post in that group to just show that we leverage through all our developers through all the different levels. It's not about being you a senior or an architect that you know everything. So that's quite key, and that's very good within DVT.
Great. Lloyd, why did you join?
Yeah, I mean, so actually the core reason why I joined DVT was they actually guaranteed my growth. You know, they said, we will invest in you, we will help you grow your career. You know, whatever level I joined at, I have progressed, I have moved up, they have invested the time in me, and that's what drew me in. And then once I was in, I was exposed to this massive culture where, you know, I thought I could have been potentially joining this big corporate and you wouldn't interact with anyone. It's the total opposite. I interact with everyone. There's no limitations. Like I said, I don't know how many times I phoned Lorato in the evenings on a weekend. It doesn't matter. Like, he's always willing to chat. He's always, and, you know, although he's my boss, he doesn't treat me differently. He doesn't treat me like I'm not allowed to phone him, and that's what actually drew me even more. And given the power that, you know, I could change something, I actually am implementing to grow that environment, grow that excitement of culture, making sure we're on the ground with the devs, making sure we're even better than we are. And that's that, you know, given the power, that's what I'm trying to do is make sure that we keep that culture up, we keep that happy environment that we have going, and just work on the top of it and make it better every year we can. So yeah, that's my answer.
Great.
Personally for me, personally for me, it was outside of work conversations that I had with friends. And after realizing that such intellect is concentrated, so there are a lot of, for example, AWS solutions architect, the Azure solutions architect, and more than one, and they're accessible. Like, we can talk to them via Slack or so. That for me is a big win. So I thought to myself, no, let me try out this interview process, see where it leads to. What they actually require. And yeah, I think that's a big win for me, especially with we mentioned already our year-end functions, and not only year-end functions, but team building events as well. That's when you actually meet them face to face. Like pre-COVID, we had paintball, we had bubble soccer, we had all sorts of things. And while we're sitting, we can actually discuss these new technologies, which is something I think it's amazing. I've never experienced anything anywhere else. So yeah, I think that's why the main reason why I joined, I had conversations with actual DVTers, and then from there, I took it forward.
Great, thanks for sharing.
I'm just checking time. I don't know if we should maybe bundle some of these questions here.
Yeah, so I'm just going to answer some of them as quick as possible.
Okay.
Leroy asked, since we want the best developers, what happens if someone is not the best and wants to work with or for you? Do you invest in people or looking for people who others have already invested in them? So we want people that are passionate, want to do things the right way, want to be develop themselves day by day, and we want to walk the journey with you. You know, whether I don't think anyone's ever going to be the best, because technology changes all the time. So we're happy to teach if you are happy to learn. And I think we are happy to learn if you're happy to teach. So it works both ways in DVT. Do you take QA testers for remote work? We don't hire testers at the moment, Terence, but we do have a sister company called Inspire Testing. You can check them out on our group page, which is DTH. Or you can pop me a LinkedIn message and I will forward you the details of who you can chat to there. Do you prefer full stack devs working on wide-ranging skills, or devs with targeted specialist front end, back end, API, data orientated? Is this something that is dictated from the clients? I think that's a nice question. If Footy, you want to answer it?
Yeah, sure. I mean, there's always that pursuit for full stack, but honestly, it's hard to achieve. So generally, our developers will be very strong on the back end, and have a good understanding of the front end, whereas, for instance, in Lerato's area, his focus is on the front end. So within DVT, we cover all those specialist areas. It's just a question of wherever you feel the strongest, then you would fit into either my space or Lerato space or the mobile space or the data and analytics space. But yeah, we do take on all those skills.
So, I mean, I think that there's both. There is a little bit of client dependence, you know, specifically in the mobile space, app centric, where you'll have to create the app from nothing. You need to know a little bit about everything, but not be specialized in like knowing back end and everything like that. We have separate teams for that. But, you know, from an app centric, you can have a full stack app stack, if you want to call it that, and you know, use that to create an app. Or a lot of our clients want a specialist, you know, a senior iOS developer. That's what you're good at, that's what you're going to do. You're not going to be required to write Android and iOS and Flutter and those type of things. One of the favorite lines that someone used is, nobody wants a heart surgeon operating on their foot because they're going to get it wrong. It's the same in the software industry. Nobody wants an iOS developer developing an Android app because you'll get it right to some extent, but you're not a specialist. You don't have all the skills and the knowledge that we're trying to get you to be the best you can be. And I think that's, you know, it's also a little bit client dependent, but majority of the time we also look, you know, to specialize you in becoming the best you can be in a specific area.
I think next time we do a session like this, we should just start with the questions, because we're running out of time and I'm not sure how we're going to answer all of them. I think some we have already. What do you have in place to facilitate training, development, and certification? I think Futsi and Lerato have both spoken to that. Andrea has asked, what cloud provider does your company focus on? If I have an AWS skill set, is that acceptable? Absolutely. I think the two that we focused on at the moment is Azure and AWS. Carlos gave us a great compliment to say these are all great answers, and he's very impressed with the culture of that our company has. Kwasi wants to know, what is the secret to longevity at DVT? And I think it's continuous learning, and to make an impact, whether it's personally, on a team member, at a client, on a project, to a colleague. Malvern also has said, thanks team. He's got a few questions. What level do you support innovation, new ideas, or it's entirely up to the client? I'm just going to answer because I'm already talking and we're running out of time. So there are some instances and clients and projects where they do look to us as the subject matter experts to guide them in their way of technology. And there are some clients who have embedded solutions and ways of work that we can't just go in and change up, although we do try over the months. I know Lloyd and Lerato are very into new ways of innovation and how they find that. And Lloyd, I think that's something you're focusing on at the moment.
Yeah, that's correct. We want to be the best we can be and be able to provide multiple solutions in different areas. And we also lean on senior devs to also tell us on cool things they've learned. I mean, we've seen it now just recently where, you know, devs are guiding us on new architectures that have come out where, you know, we know what all our clients typically want, but an app-centric app, they saying, well, let's try this. Let's see how we're going to make it the best it can be.
Absolutely. Melvin, you also asked, are we considering remote work for those outside SA, particularly Zimbabwe? We have 6 devs currently based in Zimbabwe working remotely for clients both in South Africa and in the UK. And then the third question is there any need to do both AWS and Azure? Which one offers core fundamentals that are required in cloud computing? Lonwabo.
So I'd definitely be more inclined to speak about Azure. So I enjoy Azure more than AWS, but either or. If you've got the appetite, it's great to do both. But I think they both offer the fundamentals that you would need as a cloud solutions person.
And I think looking at our current projects, if you very Java open source space, AWS is your strongest. If you more Microsoft, Azure would be your strongest. But I believe they are starting to cross paths. So at some point, we'll all be doing everything.
Correct.
Great, thanks everyone. I want to thank every single person for coming through, taking the time to listen to us. Thank you for the amazing questions. Any comments you'd like to leave afterwards in case you'd like to hear from us again, or get in touch with us. Like I said, our website is the best place to be.
I think what I'd like to add is just I will share the recording of the session. I'll share it with everyone who registered for the session. So you'll get an email from me, Karen, or from Eventbrite, just to have the recording with you. You can go through it again. And then you'll also be able to contact me directly, and I can channel any questions through to the team. So happy to be the main contact person, or you can get hold of Carmen the Brain on LinkedIn. You'll find her on LinkedIn and direct message her. So yeah, thanks everyone. Very, very glad you could all join us. Thank you, team. We look forward to hosting another one soon.
Yeah.
Thanks, everybody.
Cool.
Have a good
Thanks for
day.
coming, everyone.
Bye.
Bye.
Bye.